Good afternoon, everyone. And let me introduce to you my PhD thesis titled New Insights on Pharmacokinetics and Pharmacodynamic Changes of Drugs in Varied Gravitational Environments. Just a few words about me. I am Amir Makola. I'm a pharmacist and a PhD student here. This is my research team, and our vision is to enhance drug effectiveness in space. While to achieve this, our mission is to conduct innovative research to optimize drug utilization in space travel. Now, have you ever wondered what happens with drug pharmacology when they are exposed to extreme conditions, for example, traveling to space or being bedridden in Earth? Well, we did, and that's why we're investigating how do kinetics and dynamics vary in these extreme conditions, and our first specific goal is the effect of different gravity levels on pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics of drugs, and we did this through a systematic review and meta-analysis. Why exactly this one? Is because the use of drugs in space travel is rapidly increasing, and as we tend to take longer journeys, these longer journeys carry a higher risk of diseases, and therefore we need more drugs on board. Also, we already know that microgravity induces physiological changes that can impact pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics. And if these two are impacted, this can result in a reduced effectiveness or intoxication, and this can pose a threat to the lives of the crew. That's why our aim is to comprehensively understand the precise effect of varying gravity levels on pharmacokinetics and dynamics, and therefore we can suggest interventions accordingly. To achieve this aim, we asked this clinical question: do different levels of gravity affect the pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics of drugs? And we answered this question through a PICO framework, where the population is healthy humans receiving pharmaceutical treatment, undergoing space traveling or microgravity models compared to normal Earth gravity, and the outcomes will be pharmacokinetic and pharmacodynamic parameters. We hypothesize that drugs under effect of microgravity will experience changes in pharmacokinetics and dynamics, and therefore this can lead to either inefficacy or intoxication. We did a systematic search on the 18th of November 2023 with this search key, and out of around 10,000 articles, we got down to 29 eligible full texts included. Before jumping to results, let's briefly introduce the outcomes, the main outcomes apart from all the others that we're interested in, and they are Cmax, Tmax, AUC, and half-life. Cmax is the maximum concentration of the drug in our bloodstream, while the Tmax is the time necessary to achieve this concentration. Half-life is the time needed to decrease the maximum concentration halfway in our bloodstream, while the AUC, or ARIA under the curve, is the overall drug exposure, and in simpler terms, it tells us how much and for how long does the drug stay in our body. Now let's see some results. Here we have Cmax and AUC of several drugs when they are pooled together in short-term exposure. Short-terms mean less than 3 days. Two microgravity models, and here we can see that each drug here behaved differently in a microgravity environment, but most importantly, we couldn't identify any trend in these changes that happened here. Also, we could do meta-analysis in a single drug data for acetaminophen, which had enough available data to be meta-analyzed. And here we can see the Cmax and Tmax of acetaminophen in short-term exposure to microgravity models, or in long-term exposure, which means more than 30 days, to real space flight. And then we can see here that Cmax in short-term exposure to microgravity models is increased non-significantly, and Tmax is decreased. But in spaceflight studies, in long-term exposure, we saw opposing trends, because here the Cmax is decreased while the Tmax is increased. This can be explained by two factors. One of them is the microgravity models may not mimic in the best or appropriate way the spaceflight environment for pharmacokinetic studies. Also, there's a very important factor to take into consideration is the duration of the exposure, because in one side we had short-term and here we have long-term exposure. These results are statistically non-significant, but we also should take into consideration that a change like this for drugs that have a narrow therapeutic index could be toxic. Of course, our research has strengths and limitations. Among strengths, this is the first systematic review and meta-analysis done on the topic of kinetics and dynamics in microgravity. We included only studies of intervention, and we also managed to include spaceflight studies, and the risk of bias across these studies is predominantly low. While from the limitations, there's high heterogeneity and low sample size. And also, there's a limited spaceflight data available. Due to that, researchers used microgravity analog models in Earth. Based on the results that we saw, we can conclude that microgravity may affect the pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics, but there's high heterogeneity in the available data, and no clear pattern could be identified across drugs. Also, the currently existing microgravity models are unlikely to replicate the space environment appropriately for pharmacological studies. Therefore, our implication for practice is that higher caution should be exercised by doctors when they dose drugs, especially those with narrow therapeutic index to astronauts. And also, dosing recommendations for space travelers should be included in the summary of product characteristics. While for research, more standardized and targeted studies are needed with different drugs, and also the duration of exposure to microgravity should be further explored. But a new and more accurate microgravity model for pharmacokinetics is also needed. We finished the steps of the progress, and right now we're finalizing and polishing the manuscript. We hope to send it for internal review by the end of this month. The second project is with the same background of the one that we talked before, but here we will investigate the effect of different gravity levels on kinetics and dynamics, but this time in animal models. So here we will focus on either the ones in the left, which we call the, again, microgravity mimicking models. In this case, is a tail suspended model applied in rats, or the one in the right, which is spaceflight studies with animals. And we plan to do translational research from animal data to human application and understanding. We asked a similar question, but here the population is animals, and right now we are at the title abstract selection phase. The third project is investigating the effect of spinal cord injury in drug pharmacokinetic changes in humans, and this is, again, will be done through a systematic review and meta-analysis. And why exactly this one is because the number of spinal cord injury patients are rapidly increasing, and we can see that in 2019 we had around 21,000 patients globally. And also we already know that spinal cord injury is known that it can induce complex kinetic alterations and that can impact drug metabolism and distribution, but not alone, also absorption and excretion. And to understand these changes is very important and vital because they can pose a threat, they can pose risks to patient safety and also can reduce the effectiveness of our medication. That's why our aim is to uncover the link between the spinal cord injury and drug pharmacokinetic changes, and therefore we can offer insights for improved clinical practices. We asked this question, which is how does spinal cord injury influence the drug pharmacokinetics? And we tend to answer this through a PACO framework where the population is humans receiving pharmaceutical treatment, exposed to spinal cord injury or not, while the outcomes would be altered pharmacokinetics. We hypothesize that that spinal cord injury affects drug pharmacokinetics and can potentially influence clinical outcomes. If our hypothesis is true, then we could optimize drug dosing strategies in spinal cord injury and enhance healthcare outcomes. To summarize, we have 3 ongoing projects right now, 2 in spaceflight and microgravity environment and the kinetics and dynamics changes, and the third one is kinetic changes in bedridden patients as spinal cord injury, and we plan to submit them, the first 2 in this year and the third next year. I would like to conclude my presentation with my favorite quote: "The saddest aspect of life right now is that science gathers knowledge faster than society gathers wisdom." And this is our aim here in CTM, bring wisdom to society. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Congratulations on your great presentation. Are there any questions from the audience? If no questions from the audience, then I will ask one. I saw in your first study that there is a high heterogeneity. But in the last plots, there were some differences in, I think, Kovacevic article with the capsules and tablets, and the results were completely different, so on the two parts of the forest plot. And I know that this is a forest plot including only a small number of studies. Yeah. But can this difference be caused by the way how the drug is administered, or capsules or tablets, or what can be the reason behind this difference in the result?
We think that probably is the main cause is the formulation, so tablets and capsules, the difference in between them. One other factor that could be taken into consideration is the timeline, or the time when the drug is taken during space travel, because in these articles it's not specifically said, it's just said that drug is taken between 114 to 400 days. So I think that these two factors could cause this change between these two, even though tablets and capsules normally are very close to each other as drug formulations.
Okay, thank you. And regarding your third study about the spinal cord injuries, what is the definition of these in the studies? Are you planning to create any kind of subgroups based on the severity of the injury?
To be very honest, I'm still doubting the feasibility of this study, because as we know, spinal cord injury can have different stages, different symptomatologies, etc., etc. But yes, if we find enough studies, then yeah, we can do subgrouping based on the stage of spinal cord injury, or if they are paralyzed, then what type of paralysis, and if they are bedridden or not, etc. But it all depends on if we will find enough studies or not.
Okay, thank you, Amir.